Softball Network. This is going to be our next small ball podcast. A player interview with Sam Rosenberger. She's a senior at Riverside. She'll graduate this year. She's a 4-year letter winner there. She's also a team captain. She won the Post-Gazette All-Section. She was a Times Top 20 All-Star and a Cover 3 All-Star. She was ranked number 9 in the Times Top 10 WPIAL players in Beaver Valley in 2022. She was a former player on the Valley Rage team that I coached from 2014 to 2018. She then joined Team Pennsylvania in the 2019 season, and she's a current player with Team PA, 18U Showcase team. With her hard work and dedication to the sport, she received an academic and athletic scholarship to attend in Barry University in South Florida. I'd like to bring Sam to the show. How you doing, Sam?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What was your favorite youth softball memory when you played in Beaver County?
For me, when I was younger, my favorite thing was going to pitching lessons.
Okay.
I'd love just to go, just for an hour and just throw. My mom and I always went together, so it was just really fun, and I loved pitching lessons. I still do, to this day. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, that shows with your, how much work you put into it. You have to enjoy doing it. And you have bonding time with your mom, huh?
Yeah.
If you can go back, with all your experiences growing up through the travel or just your youth all-star games or whatever, if you can go back and do anything in your career, do it again, what would it be and why?
I would say our last year of Rage with you as the coach before you and Macy left, that was my favorite year of travel ball. We were a good team, and I would love to just go back, do it all over again, and just realize how fun it was. We were out there competing. There was no pressure with recruiting. It was just a fun summer.
Yep. Yeah, that last tournament was a blast.
Oh my gosh.
It was what was it? The Louisville Slugger team.
Yeah.
Lady Sluggers or whatever they are.
That was a fun game.
Yeah. That was when that's when I started getting exposed to teenage girls. And I remember we were it was in extra innings and we're in a huddle talking and you're crying and I'm like, what's wrong with her? I look at Jamie, I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, it's just girl stuff, don't worry. I'm like, oh man, we need to focus here. Okay, fast forward a little bit here. With you committing and actually signing with Barry University, what are you looking forward to playing at that level? I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is just to see how drastically of an improvement there's going to be. Personally, I'm going to be exposed to a complete different aspect of coaching. I can't wait to just see, what I learn and what's being taught. Yeah.
It's a completely different dynamic, and that's really exciting.
That's what me and Macy talk about. It's you're going to have a private pitching lessons, 5 days a week or more maybe.
Right.
Where now you only have it once, because if not, your mom would be in the poorhouse. All elite athletes have goals, both, for team and personal goals. Would you like to share some of your goals that you have set?
Yeah, so on the pitching aspect of things, my changeup right now that's my number one goal focus, is just being able to develop a good off-speed pitch to counter the spin and everything. That's my big pitching goal. And also to build endurance and stamina, so working out in the gym and even pitching, because it's a huge transition, especially not just the hours, but for me the heat, going from Western Pennsylvania to Southern Florida, that's intimidating because practices are going to be in 98-degree weather, and I want to be able to have that stamina to back up whenever I'm working out and not get tired.
Yeah. You'll get used to that heat whether you like it or not.
Oh yeah.
Is it always hot down there where you're going?
So I think it bottoms out on average in low 70s.
Wow.
They said anytime it's bottom 60s, people are cold. But when I was down there in August, it was a heat index of 104 degrees. And there were kids on on like campus, and they were walking around in sweatpants and sweatshirts.
Jeez.
Because when you go in the buildings, the AC's like max. It is so cold, and from class to class, like people just keep on their sweatshirts. I'm like,
you kind of don't know what to do.
I know. I felt out of place in a t-shirt and shorts.
With you being an elite pitcher, can you give your best advice to the younger pitchers out there?
Yeah, so I'd say the best advice I would have is to not give up, because pitching is one of those things that it's a roller coaster of progress. There will be times where your progress is stagnant and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Find something that really motivates you and use that as your driving point. Because pitching is hard and it's a big commitment. Like, the best way you're going to get better is practice, and it's just a lot of time and dedication.
It's tough, too, because, like, you'll have good days and bad days, even in practice, and you just got to find a way to stay positive and shake it off. With you going to Barry University, I'd like to talk a little bit about your path to get there. I think I know what your path was just because I'm close to you and everything, but I just think that you're like the perfect example of what it means to never give up, ignore the outside noise, and work really hard to reach your dreams. We started off with the Valley Rage 05 team, so you were the main pitcher, and Macy was one of our main players, and I was the coach. And we played together, I think, for what was it, 3 years or 4 years?
Just 3 or 4,
yeah, something like that. And that last year, like you had mentioned it already, we were a really good team, and it was really a hard decision for deciding to not coach that team anymore personally. And I still miss coaching that team even today. But after we decided that Macy was going to leave and I was going to stop coaching, we never really talked about it. But what did it do to you? What kind of place did it put you in mentally?
It was definitely a struggle. You'd always been like my travel ball coach, and Macy's my best friend, so that was really hard, like, to have you guys leave. I think it also opened my eyes a lot and like showed me where I want to go, because you guys were moving on. And I remember what you said once is like, you can only take us so far.
At 14U was always my target on if you girls wanted to play college ball, I wasn't the guy to take you there. And I just kind of knew that in the back of my head. And once we got to that point and I realized that, Macy wanted to play college, you and Hunter and everything, I was like, I need to get out of here. I'm in these girls' way.
I think you guys leaving really helped me see, like, okay, I need to put myself at the next level. And that really made me work hard to try to get to that point of playing at the higher level.
I'm a big fan of yours. I always was. I think there's just something about your pitching that just always impressed me, where I think I can count on one hand how many times I saw someone actually square up and crush you. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a certain spin you have or just like some natural lefty thing going on. I have no idea. But I was always a big fan of yours, and whenever I found out that our team needed a guest pitcher, I was like, hey, I know the perfect person. So we had actually called you, and you came and guest pitched for us. And how did you feel? Like, how did you feel at that point with the team and everything?
At first, I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated because it was a big jump, like just the level of competition. But I think by the first game, end of the first game, I'd already meshed with the team. Like, I loved the team instantly. And I was so drawn into the level of play. Yeah. Like, the competition, the plays being made, the pitching, the hitting, the whole aspect of all of it, it was just at the level that I felt I needed to be at. And the whole thing just drew me in from the start. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing, too, is that when you play at that level, it brings the best out of you. It really forces you to be a better player.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And you settled in. I thought you settled in pretty quickly. I mean, I thought it was a good experience for you, and I was hoping that you kind of got your foot in the door so you can get on our team. And I knew that they were looking for pitchers the following season, and they had asked you to come to a tryout. So kind of walk us through that now and how all that played out.
Yeah, so they asked me to go to tryout, and so instantly I said yes, and I went to the tryout, and I remember like thinking that I did good. Like I had it in my mind. I'm like, and I felt comfortable. Like I felt comfortable around the team, comfortable around the girls, and I thought that I did really good at my tryout. And at the tryout, like nothing was said. I knew that there was another tryout, and I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to stay hopeful at that point. But I was nervous. And so I actually went and tried out for another team. And they told me, like, at the tryout, like...
They wanted you.
They wanted me. They were like, we will do, like, whatever to have you on our team. We know, like, you were trying out for other teams. Because I flat out told them, I was like, I'm still undecided. I haven't heard back from other teams. Like, so, but they did. They told me, like, flat out, like, we want you on our team. So, I mean, it was, like, at that point, I was kind of like, well, why didn't I hear that from Team PA, you know, like...
Once you went through all that, they ended up calling you back, right, at some point?
Yes. Yeah, so they called me back about a week later and told me they were going a different direction. And that honestly probably put me at my lowest point with softball.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I played well at the tournaments, I did well at my tryout, and I couldn't, like, tell you what I did wrong, and that, like, was what really bothered me. Like, I didn't know what to work on.
Yeah.
I didn't have, and, like, you know, it's really hard to not tell yourself that you're not good enough. Like, when somebody says they don't want you for something, you beat yourself up. You're like, well, I'm not good enough for something. Like, they didn't want me, so it was really hard to stay motivated, and that was hard. That was a really hard thing. And it was hard to accept, too, because I really liked the team. I'd done a lot with them. And, like, I had my hopes up so high. I really did. And it was just, like, you know, just got crushed by folks.
Yeah, and like you said, it's hard to get in that situation where you feel like you're not good enough. And to, you know, it takes a really... you know, a strong person to overcome that, and that's why I like, my hat's off to you, because I know that it was tough at first, but then I think it kind of put fuel in the fire for you too, and it kind of drove you to wanting to be, or prove people wrong, I guess is a good way of putting it too.
Yeah, that's actually, my mom and I, like, I was down for a few days, like, and then I went on vacation actually, and I was on the phone with my mom, and she's like, I really want you to, like, try to not get hard on yourself. And I'm like, at this point, like, I was a little angry. Like, I was like, I'm going to put that, like, negative energy, that negative feeling, and turn it into a fuel. Like you said, a fuel to the fire, and really, like, get that push to get better, and then be able to, you know, say, I told you so. Like, you should have had me on your team. Like, get to that point where... like, make them regret their decision. That's what my mom and I always said. Like, that short span of time where, like, make them regret their decision. Yeah,
so then at what point did they call you back and say, hey, we I don't know what happened?
They called me back at the end of my vacation. I was sitting on the beach, and I got the phone call, and I was shocked, honestly, because I had gotten it out of my mind, and I did. I committed to that spirit team. So that was, I had to call them, because I did decide to play for Team PA. But I think a big thing that, like, really drew me in was just the experience that I already had with them.
Yeah.
And that I knew a lot of the girls, and so that was big.
So you overcame all that, and you're now on the team, and you're pitching, and...
My first year, there were 3. It was me and 2 other girls.
Okay.
So... and yeah, it was pretty equal. My first year, innings were pretty equal. So they came up to me, and they told me they were getting another pitcher. And they told me, they're like, innings are going to be significantly cut. Like, you're not going to get the innings. And they said, like, they asked me to be a PO and just basically throw when I'm needed. And that was also hard to hear because I'd always dreamed about, like, going to college to play softball, and I was on a team to get recruited. And if I'm being told, like, I'm being thrown when needed or a PO, you think to yourself, how am I ever going to get recruited like that? And that was hard.
And you decided to stay, and you just took it on yourself to, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to push through this, and I still want to prove these people wrong.
Yeah. That was honestly probably the big changing point. That next year I decided to take the year off of basketball. And I was pitching 3 to 4 times a week with a lesson in there. I was going to the gym every single day. I was doing every single thing that I could to get better over and over again. Like, you have worked so hard these past few years. Like, it's not all for nothing. It's going to get you somewhere. And that just, like, motivated me, just telling me over and over again. Like,
in the 2022 season, so our last year, our summer season, you could see that you just progressively got better through the season. And you know, and the coaches started to use you more. And you know, in tighter situations or in the game, you know, if we were in elimination games or whatever, you can see that they were starting to, like, see you and notice you, and something clicked. At some point, something clicked with you, and like, I saw a difference as far as your pitching goes. Like, you became someone who I felt was reliable to someone who was, like, dominant. And what would you, or who would you give credit for in that? Like, what happened? Explain to me what happened.
As far as credit goes, I think my family's always been such a big motivator because they've always been the ones chirping in my ear, like, just keep pushing. Like, you're so close. Just keep pushing. But I think a lot of it, I'm the only one that can go to practice. Like, I'm the one that goes to practice. I'm the one that is putting in the time. I'm, you know, like, the mindset, the determination, the commitment, like, that comes from me. And a lot of that, like I said, there were so many times it would have just been easier. But to not do it, to quit, to give up. But I credit myself with not giving up. Right. And that was, like, that drive, that willpower just to get better at that. Like, somebody can't make you have that. Right.
That drive. Yeah, you were determined for sure. Like, I was almost proud of it when I saw you. And just noticed it. And like I said, Rochelle and I were talking after we scrimmaged him that one time. And she actually came up to me and she goes, "What is going on with Sam?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. She's found it. Whatever it is, she's found it." It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah. She came up to me at that scrimmage too.
Did she? Good.
She was right behind the plate and she's like, "Your movement, your spin." She's like, "I could really see it." And I think just the support system that I've built over the past few years has felt like they're so supportive, they're so strong, and, like, they're so good to fall back on.
Right.
Like, the team itself, like, it's seriously like a second family.
Yeah,
it really is.
You guys
We're
are
all so close.
And it's funny too because there's so many different personalities on that team.
There are.
Yeah,
for sure.
But you know, you guys just kind of mesh together when we finally get together on the weekends, and everyone gets along, and it's just a great time.
It is, for sure.
I know there's an interesting story with how Barry you discovered you.
Yeah, so it actually started in November last fall, not this fall, we just had the one before that, when we played in Clearwater. I, like, fell in love with Florida. I really did. Just the whole, like, idea of playing softball in Florida. So I did a ton of research, and I narrowed it down to, like, 4 schools in Florida. Barry was one of them, and I sent them emails introducing myself, sending film, and I got a response from Barry. They, like, watched my film, and then it kind of just died out, kind of fizzled out. We were in Massachusetts playing, And I was pitching. I was doing pretty good, and there was a coach there. I can't exactly remember the college that it was, but they saw me pitch and they liked what they saw. And on the recruit sheet, it said that I was interested in marine biology. And they were talking to our coaches, and they're like, we don't have marine biology, but I know a coach in Florida that does, and they've always said how bad they want a left-handed pitcher. So the coach actually called the Barry coach in the middle of the game, and they logged on to our live stream and watched me pitch. So then afterwards, I got home after the tournament and everything, and we set up a Zoom call, and they invited me down to camp. So that, like, is when I had to sit down and talk with my mom. Like, is this something that's worth it?
Right.
The camp was in, like, 2 weeks. It's like, my mom's like, is this serious? Like, could this be a possibility?
Yeah, because now it's an investment. Like, you guys got to buy flights and all that stuff. Yeah.
Picking up and going to Florida. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, this is 100% something that I want to do. And I'm like, this is everything that I've worked for. It's my dream major. I've always wanted to do marine biology, and it's so limited up here. And I'm like, this is so ideal. Like, this is such an ideal situation. And so we're going down. We booked the flight, booked the trip, and we're going down, and I'm sitting on the plane, like, after we landed in Miami, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, these 2 days of camp are going to determine if I go to school here or not. Like, that was what was going through my mind. I'm like, they've never met me. They don't know my personality.
Right.
They've never seen me pitch in person. Like, this is everything. And, like, I barely slept that night before. I was so anxious, like, because it was what I was thinking. And then I go to camp, and like I said, it was 104 degrees. And it was not a cloud in the sky. It was straight Miami heat.
And I know you're not a big fan of heat.
Nope. I'm not. The first day of camp was at night. So it was 5 hours long. It was from 4 to 9. So it was a little bit after the heat.
At least you had that going for you, yeah.
I did. And we did 2.5 hours of camp and then 2.5 hours of games. And the coach comes up to me and he's like, "You're starting pitcher for the home team." I'm like, "All right." And I went out, and it was 3 up, 3 down, and I go into the dugout, and I'm like I just could breathe.
Yeah.
It was just like,
now you know you can do it, and you're
yeah. And then after that, like, I was pushing through, and I that was probably the best I'd pitched in a very long time, is at that camp. And I remember the coach would, like, have me go off, and I could talk to the girls. And I remember sitting there, like, they were sitting out on the bleachers, the Barry girls, and I was talking to them like I was just talking to my friends.
Yeah.
Like, they were so nice. They were so welcoming, and, like, it was just such a cool experience. So that was at night. And my mom and I went back to the hotel, and we got dinner. Like, we just, like, talked. And I was like, "Mom, like, I love it. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's everything I want." And we toured the campus earlier that day, and, like, just everything about it. So then that next day, it was 10 to 1. So the heat of the day. And we started out with camp, and I'm throwing bullpen. And the one assistant coach she was the pitching coach, I look over, and she's sitting at the table with my mom and Grammy, and they're talking and everything. And my mom, like, puts her hands in her head, and she, like, goes down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're saying. And I'm throwing bullpen, and I'm just like, oh, this is so intense. And so then she starts walking over to me, and she pulls me over, and she's like, last night was, like, it was so, like, she's like, "We love you." She just flat out said, she's like, "We love you." And they offered me a spot, and, like, I got emotional. Like, there, I did get emotional. Because it felt surreal. It really did.
Right.
Like, if you would have told me, like, before Massachusetts that any of this would have been happening, like, it was so crazy. It was absolutely crazy how it all played out.
Yeah. And know what Rochelle always tells you girls, you got to trust the process, and everyone's path is different. And your path was different from anybody. And it went, and when it started going, you couldn't stop it.
No.
Yeah.
It was just the snowball effect. Like, it just kept building on, and it really was just so amazing. Like, looking back at it now, like, it makes everything so worth it.
Right.
It really does. Just everything that, like, is going to happen now because of the hard work and the not giving up and the dedication, like, it just makes me, like, I'm a little proud. Like, I am proud just to say that, like,
you should be proud.
I did that. So,
like I said, I have, I have a lot of respect for you, and your path was very difficult mentally, I think, and you kind of pushed through it, and you made it work. And I know that I know your family and everyone's proud of you, and I know you and I are closer than other players, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you, and I can't wait to watch you pitch down and bury you.
Thank you.
It's going to be awesome. And I need a shirt, too. I want a Bury You shirt.
Okay. I can do that.
Cool. I have one final question. You ready for it? Who was your favorite coach that you ever had? Come on, it's my show.
I know. It's you.
Okay.
It's you, 100%.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, good luck in Riverside. And, I'm already planning on coming to broadcast one of your games. I think you guys are scrimmaging Central Valley.
We do. Yeah, it's our first game.
I was thinking about doing that one and then maybe another one.
Okay.
And then, of course, I can't wait to watch you down Bury You. It's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe one day I'll, fly down there and get some rays. We'll see how the scheduling works out with Macy's games.
Maybe she'll play in Florida.
Maybe. You never know. And thanks for doing this, and we'll see you on the field.
Yep.
All right, Sam.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.